The autumn air was filled with excitement as Halloween approached, and for 10-year-old Lily, it was more than just a holiday. It was an opportunity to unleash her creativity. With nimble fingers and an imaginative mind, she set out to create the perfect Halloween mask. For weeks, Lily toiled away in her room, surrounded by scraps of paper, glue, and paint. With each careful stroke, the mask began to take shape, its features slowly emerging from the raw materials. Lily poured her heart and soul into the project, determined to make it the most realistic mask anyone had ever seen. Finally, after countless hours of labor, the mask was complete. Its surface was smooth and flawless, every detail meticulously crafted to perfection. But Lily knew that to truly bring it to life, she needed one final touch, a lock of her own hair, a sacrifice she was willing to make for the sake of authenticity. With trembling hands, Lily carefully snipped a small strand of hair from her head and affixed it to the forehead of the mask. As she stepped back to admire her handiwork, a shiver of excitement ran down her spine. This, she thought, would be the greatest Halloween costume ever. As the sun set on Halloween night, Lily eagerly donned her creation, a thrill coursing through her veins as she caught sight of herself in the mirror. The mask fit snugly against her face, the hair blending seamlessly with her own. Its eyes seemed to gleam with an otherworldly light, drawing her in with their hypnotic gaze. With her heart pounding in anticipation, Lily joined her friends outside, ready to embark on a night of trick-or-treating and mischief. As they wandered through the neighborhood, laughter and excitement filling the air, Lily couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in her creation. But as the night wore on, a strange sensation began to creep over her. It started as a faint tingling at the edges of her consciousness, but soon grew into a sharp, almost painful sensation. The mask felt like it was tightening around her face, the hair roots digging into her skin with a vice-like grip. Panic surged through Lily as she tried to pry the mask off, her fingers clawing at the edges in desperation. But no matter how hard she tried, it refused to budge, clinging to her face with an unnatural strength. It was as if the mask had a will of its own, and it was determined to claim her as its own. "Help me!" Lily's cries were muffled by the mask, her voice warped and distorted as it echoed through the night. Her friends recoiled in horror, their faces twisted in fear, as they watched the mask's features contort and shift, almost as if it was alive. Lily could feel the mask's consciousness seeping into her mind, like tendrils snaking their way through her thoughts and memories. It whispered to her, a sinister voice that promised power and control. But beneath its honeyed words lay a darkness, a malevolence that sent shivers down her spine. With every passing moment, Lily felt herself slipping further and further away, her own identity fading into obscurity. The mask hungered for her, its insatiable appetite consuming her from the inside out. She fought against it with all her might, but it was a losing battle. By the time her parents found her, trembling and sobbing in the middle of the road, it was too late. Lily's own face was gone, replaced by the nightmarish visage of the Halloween mask. Her parents could only watch in horror as their daughter's body convulsed and writhed, the mask twisting and morphing into something beyond their worst nightmares. And so, on that fateful Halloween night, Lily and the mask became one, a terrifying new entity that roamed the streets in search of new hosts to claim. Every October, they would emerge from the shadows, their presence heralding a night of terror and despair. Those who crossed their path would be consumed by the darkness, their minds twisted and corrupted by the mask's malevolent influence. Some would become slaves to its will, their bodies nothing more than vessels for its insatiable hunger. Others would simply vanish without a trace, their fates forever sealed within the depths of the mask's endless abyss. But amidst the chaos and fear, there was a glimmer of hope, a flicker of light in the darkness. For deep within the recesses of Lily's mind, a small ember of her true self still burned bright. And though it may have been buried beneath the mask's suffocating embrace, it was not extinguished. One day, perhaps, she would find a way to break free from the mask's grip, to reclaim her identity, and banish the darkness once and for all. But until that day came, she would wander the night, a silent sentinel of fear and dread, a living reminder of the horrors that lurk just beneath the surface of reality. Year after year, as Halloween descended upon the town, whispers of the masked entity grew louder. Children would huddle in fear, their parents warning them to stay indoors after dark, lest they fall prey to the mysterious creature that prowled the streets. But despite the warnings, there were always those who dared to venture out into the night, drawn by the thrill of danger and the promise of adventure. And it was to these unsuspecting souls that Lily and the mask would turn their attention. With each passing Halloween, their power grew stronger, their influence spreading like a shadowy stain across the town. They became legends, whispered about in hushed tones around campfires and in darkened alleyways, a cautionary tale of what happens when one dares to toy with forces beyond their control. But amidst the fear and chaos, there were those who refused to be cowed. A group of brave souls determined to uncover the truth behind the mask's origins and put an end to its reign of terror once and for all. Led by a fearless young woman named Emily, the group embarked on a quest to unravel the mystery of the masked entity. Armed with nothing but their wits and a burning desire for justice, they delved deep into the town's dark history, scouring ancient texts and dusty archives for clues. Their journey led them to forgotten tombs and hidden chambers, where they unearthed secrets long thought buried. They learned of ancient rituals and forbidden magic, of a time when the boundaries between the living and the dead were blurred, and the veil between worlds grew thin. But as they delved deeper into the darkness, they soon realized that the mask was not just a creation of Lily's imagination. It was a manifestation of something far more sinister, something that had been lurking in the shadows since time immemorial. Armed with newfound knowledge and steely resolve, Emily and her companions prepared to confront the masked entity head-on. They knew that the battle ahead would be fraught with danger, but they were willing to risk everything to put an end to the terror that had gripped their town for so long. As Halloween night descended once more, the group gathered at the edge of the forest, their hearts pounding with anticipation. With a sense of grim determination, they set off into the darkness, following the trail of destruction left in the wake of the masked entity. Finally, they reached the heart of the forest, where a clearing lay bathed in moonlight. There, amidst the twisted trees and tangled undergrowth, they found Lily, her body contorted and twisted by the mask's dark power. But as they moved to confront her, they were met with a sight that chilled them to the bone. For standing beside Lily was the true source of the mask's power, a shadowy figure cloaked in darkness, its eyes burning with malevolent intent. With a cry of defiance, Emily and her companions launched themselves into battle, their weapons flashing in the moonlight as they clashed with the masked entity. But try as they might, they could not seem to land a blow, their attacks glancing off its shimmering form like water on glass. As the battle raged on, Emily felt a surge of despair wash over her. It seemed as though they were fighting a losing battle, doomed to be consumed by the darkness that surrounded them. But then, in a moment of clarity, she remembered something, a fragment of a spell she had uncovered in her research, a spell that had the power to banish the darkness once and for all. With a fierce determination, Emily began to chant the incantation, her voice ringing out clear and true above the chaos of battle. And as she spoke the final words of the spell, a blinding light erupted from her hands, enveloping the masked entity in a brilliant white glow. With a deafening roar, the darkness was banished, dissolving into nothingness as the light consumed it. And as the last echoes of the spell faded into the night, Emily and her companions found themselves standing alone in the clearing, surrounded by the stillness of the forest. As dawn broke over the horizon, the town awoke to find that the masked entity had vanished without a trace. The streets were quiet once more, the air filled with a sense of peace and tranquility that had long been absent. And though the memory of the masked entity would linger for years to come, it would eventually fade into legend, a cautionary tale of the dangers that lurked in the darkness and the power of courage and friendship to overcome even the greatest of evils.